is Titan's Battalion? Now, that question is hard to answer without first answering what is chess. Chess is a strategy game. The goal is to capture the enemy king and or just pin it down depending on the rule set. It has thousands of years of history and many variants across most of the world's cultures. The Western version of chess had its current rule set finalized in the 15th century. Now, I want to point out, no game is perfect. But you can judge how close a game is by how long it takes for humans to find the problems. Go took thousands of years. Go being the Japanese game of surrounding territory with stones on a board. Now in Go, both players take turns placing those stones on the board and slowly but surely amass points based on squares their stones are in and surround on orthogonal sides. Very simple game, rule-wise. Very difficult game, strategy-wise. And due to that, it fills the same cultural purpose that chess does in the Western world for the Eastern world. They found problems. The problem being the player who goes second has a significant disadvantage. So, they solved this by giving the player who goes second points by default to compensate. And those points are increased by 1/2 to reduce draws. Now, chess still has both of those problems that Go has. It has not been updated. It has not had the time. Why not fix that? Now, Titan's Battalion doesn't just cover this problem. It is a game designed to not only reduce draws, maximize strategic potential, fix the first versus second win-loss ratio, all of these things. It is designed to allow every version of chess that has ever existed, and any game that can be played on the grid has the potential to be brought into chess somehow, to be brought into Titan's Battalion. It takes these different versions and sets them against each other like it's a fighting game. It's balanced using an engine, and doing this, all you have to do is know what your version does and what your opponent's does when you sit down at the table, and you can go. And because of that, it preserves all of the history. It's not, this is the definitive version. It is all of the versions. It is all of chess. It is the only game that can be all of chess. That is the point. Leave nothing behind, no variant, no stone unturned. Bring it all together and in one place, in one version, in one set. And by doing so, you elevate the entirety of the game. Now, there are some problems with this, the most obvious of which being balance. Balance using an engine. What does that mean? It means that you set the two different versions, the asymmetrical, one person has one set that has certain moves, and the other has the other set that has certain moves and rules. And put it into an engine and allow the engine to play. Now that engine will be able to, after playing for a bit, learning the game, making the evaluations, give one of the two players advantages or disadvantages, going both first and second. They will be able to tell you which one is stronger. And as a game designer, that is the data you need in order to make changes. And then you can analyze specific games as a sufficiently good player to figure out what needs to be changed. Titans Battalion is an attempt to bring the entire world of chess together. It is not perfect, but with time, effort, and support, it could be. Or at least as close as we can humanly get. It allows people who make variants to put their variants together, to bring the ideas to one table, sit down, set a set of standards, and turn a divided, split community into one community. It allows people who play chess to learn the other regional variants, the history behind them a little bit. It puts every person who has put effort into learning these games professionally. And rather than discarding those that aren't the most popular version of the game, every contribution, every breakthrough in strategy matters conceptually. It still affects the flow of the game, at least in the mirror match of those two against each other, against themselves. If Shogi, its version that is in Titans Battalion, is fighting the other Shogi, those concepts still apply. Those discoveries. What is Titans Battalion? It's a breakthrough, an idea. Because this wasn't possible 20, 40 years ago. Because two reasons. One, the engines were not sufficiently advanced enough to guarantee this. I'm not a coder. But there are coders out there who would be completely willing to help with this. And two, it was not possible because of a core breakthrough. The core feature that makes Titans Battalion different from every other variant, we threw away the board. Now, that sounds scary. We cut it up. So, in chess, you have an 8x8 board. In shogi, you have a 9x9. In shangqi and zhangyi, which are Chinese and Korean chess respectively, you have a 9x10 board with very specific zones on it with different rules. You take a section of the board, the section with the pieces, and you attach it to the side. Then, as long as you're willing to make a few small changes for balance, put a few pieces in hand for people to drop onto the board to start with, tweak things. The starting position can work and stay as it is in those historical variants. And the new variants, the new additions to the game that people are coming up with in a massive slew online, and have been for a good portion of the last few centuries. People come up with a different set of rules for chess, and they want it to work. They want it to go out there, and sometimes it's good enough that they feel confident in putting it on a board or a book and releasing it, or putting it in an app and releasing it. No version has to be left behind. And if you want your version added to this conglomerate, this chess variant fight club that is Titans Battalion, join the Discord. Put it in battalion submission. We'll go through it. Especially if you're willing to help. Especially if you're willing to push this. I have invested a good portion of my time, my money, my effort into making this happen because I believe in it. I'm a humble game designer who has worked for the last 8 years mostly as a hobby in card games, RPGs, and chess variants. I'm ready to take this to the next level.